The Twilight Saga, New Moon, is already breaking box office records. Just how big can vampires get? I shudder to think. CNBC's Julia Borston joins us with more on that. Julia?
Well, Dennis, Twilight sequel New Moon drew very long lines for its midnight opening last night. And with the highest ever ticket pre-sales, it's on track to be the first ever fall movie to gross $100 million at the U.S. box office its opening weekend. This sequel's budget was an estimated $80 million, nearly twice as much as the first Twilight's budget, which grossed $380 million worldwide and is the top-selling DVD this year. New Moon attracting a wide range of marketing partners. Volvo has a campaign about its car, which is in the film. AT&T offers games. Nordstrom and Hot Topic are selling Twilight-inspired clothes.
Anytime you get this domination in the media marketplace, you want association. And that's why Volvo and Burger King and other people are jumping on board.
New Moon is proving to Hollywood that blockbusters can happen year-round and not just in the summer. So, Bill, we're going to be watching those box office numbers very closely. And, in fact, last night's midnight showings could have actually beaten The Dark Knight, which right now holds the record for the biggest midnight ever.
Wow. Beating out Batman there. It's Batman versus the vampires.
Vampires are kicking.
Stay there, Julia. More on the Twilight economy, or what we're calling the Gross Vampire Product Index. Paul DeGarabedian analyzes box office numbers for Hollywood.com. And we have also Daily Beast contributor Duff McDonald, who's the author of the new book about Jamie Dimon called Last Man Standing, who apparently is a big fan of New Moon. That's why you're here, Duff. I don't know.
Absolutely. Well, Wall Street and vampires.
I got it. Yeah, there is synergy there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Paul, huge numbers right away for this movie.
Yeah, it was midnight movie madness last night as people lined up, primarily women and girls, by the way, mostly girls, driving this Twilight economy. We're getting early grumblings that those midnight screenings, like Julia referred to earlier, could break a record, could be over $20 million. We're still waiting for those final figures. But for a movie like this to be in the same company as something like The Dark Knight is pretty astounding. And that film posted the biggest opening weekend of all time when it opened. This is expected to open with over $100 million. But again, it's a phenomenon, and it's driven, again, primarily by teen girls.
I was surprised that vampires were so hot until I read your article today, and it turns out they've been hot. There's all kinds of vampire franchises out there, and you've actually summed up what the GVP is, the Gross Vampire Product Index is.
Yeah, we came up with, the reason I started looking into this is because my wife is obsessed. She's read all the books, watches all the movies and the TV shows.
Does she bite you?
No, well.
Anyway.
We tallied it at 771 annual or $1 million annual economy. It's crazy. And I think we may have actually underestimated it because I came at it dispassionately and said this second movie will probably do as well as the first movie, but it looks like it's going to crush
But we're adding together here TV shows, movies,
True Blood.
books,
Everybody
HBO,
raise your hand if you're a True Blood
everybody.
fan. Come on.
And
Vampire Diaries.
Vampire Diaries.
There are so many different things, and I feel like there are a lot of different TV shows that are now jumping on the bandwagon. And, of course, everyone says, these TV shows or these movies were in development for a while. But it's worth pointing out that New Moon in the Twilight franchise is not being produced by one of the major Hollywood studios. It comes from Summit Entertainment, which is an independent studio that's distributing this independently. And it's worth pointing out that a lot of big executives at the major studios passed on this book franchise, and they didn't think it would work. So it is really a surprise to a lot of big Hollywood execs.
Hey, Paul, it seems to me most blockbusters in Hollywood arguably are driven by teenage boys. Transformers, big films with big special effects. Now we've got teenage girls driving this entire phenomenon. And when you think about it, everyone says it's the unconsummated love that really brings the girls. I think it's the six-packs on those man-boy vampires. But are we looking at a new profit center for Hollywood, or at least one that they should revisit?
I think if Hollywood ignores women and girls, they do so at their peril, and New Moon proves the point. And I think you're right talking about the abs. Taylor Lautner's abs might be worth $30 million this weekend. And all that working out, I think, paid off. What's that?
Haven't they basically ignored girls and women for many, many years?
I think there was a perception. There was a perception that the men made decisions about what movies to go to and that the girlfriends would come along. And that was always the rule. You have a movie like Transformers, which has a very strong male lead, and there's a female lead, but she's not as big a part of the
Julia,
movie.
you know, boys get expensive movies, girls get the cheap movies.
Yes, but
they
I
get
think
the date movies that cost almost nothing to make.
I think that's been the rule, and I think that's really going to change. Now we're seeing that girls can drive a huge opening weekend, and now we're seeing that the big blockbuster movies don't just have to happen in the summer. You could have blockbuster movies year-round, and you could have people of all ages making a big hit.
Duff, you get with this vampire phenomenon, men like it, I guess, for the gore and the violence, and women like it for the lust.
True Blood's a great blend. It's got sex, violence, you know, gorgeous women, gorgeous men.
I got to get my 9-year-old daughter the doll for Christmas.
Yeah, and it's just, I think they nailed it. Twilight's obviously more for teenagers. I think the only thing holding back Twilight is the author. Stephanie Meyer's only written 4 books. She's got to, you know, get back at the computer there.
Watch out, J.K. Rowling.
Use the James Patterson model and get other people to write the books for you.
Exactly. Like
outsource it.
Charlene Harris has written, you know, a dozen Sookie Stackhouse books. You know, let's get at it, Stephanie.
I hear you there. Thank you, folks. Everybody off to the movies now. Have a good weekend.